Okay, so on to the Moorish citizen thing. This is so interesting. So, Moorish citizens are individuals that believe, much like sovereign citizens, that the law doesn't apply to them. They believe that. This is complicated to explain in a concise manner, but I'm going to do my best. They basically believe that the narrative of Europeans coming to America, where the Native Americans lived and taking over, and then the transatlantic slave trade happening, thus bringing African individuals here to the United States, they believe that that narrative is false. They believe that black people are the actual indigenous peoples of the North American continent, and that North America used to be called Morocco, which is why they call themselves Moors. And they believe that white people then took over and made a bunch of fake history to put down these Moorish individuals. This is, of course, nonsense, but based on this belief, they believe that the laws of the United States or Canada or wherever they happen to reside don't apply to them because they think that they are sovereign Moorish citizens from the United States. That's about as concise as I can put this belief system. So they do interesting things, and something they've done more recently, is some of them have been occupying other people's homes and trying to claim them as their own. They're trying to take the country back one household at a time. So let's take a look at this. This one's in Washington. Two suspects claiming to be affiliated with a Moorish national group were arrested late Friday after burglarizing a home in the town of Woodway, Edmonds, police said. A 46-year-old Mount Lake Terrace man and a 32-year-old Tacoma woman were booked into the Snohomish County Jail, and their car was impounded as evidence in the case. Last month, Edmonds detectives say a group knocked on doors in the most upscale neighborhoods in Woodway and Edmonds, identifying themselves as Moorish citizens, Moorish sovereign citizens. They carry official-looking documents, say they own the property, and announce they're moving in. They have basically come to say that they're from this particular group, and they're there to repossess the home and want the people to vacate the premises, Edmonds Police Sergeant Josh McClure told Kiro 7's Gary Horcher last month. Their group believes that they own all of the land between Alaska and Argentina and all the islands in between. Unfortunately, Edmonds falls between that land. It's a good line. The Southern Poverty Law Center identifies the Moorish citizens as an extremist group, says members, quote, believe their status as members of a sovereign nation imparts immunity from federal, state, and local authorities. Friday's incident began around 9 p.m. at a home in the 21700 block of Chinook Road in Woodway when a neighbor called to report that there were two people in the house, which was vacant and had just been sold. A few minutes later, the alarm company for the home called and reported the system had been tripped multiple times. Edmonds officers responded to the call as a burglary in progress. The first officer to arrive found a vehicle parked outside the locked gate to the home, and two suspects, a man and a woman, were on the other side. Arriving officers jumped over the fence and were quickly met by a woman who accused officers of trespassing on her property. That takes some lady balls to break into a house and then see the cops coming to arrest you and to say, you're trespassing on my property. I just arrived here, so it's mine. The man who was with her was recognized by officers as having been recently trespassed from several homes in the area after claiming affiliation with the Moorish group. Both suspects were detained but were uncooperative during the investigation, police said. Police said suspects had posted a notice on the property's for sale sign indicating they owned the property under Moroccan law. Officers gathered statements from witnesses who said the couple had entered the home. They also collected surveillance video showing the suspects inside the house and established probable cause for their arrest. The vehicle the suspects arrived in was impounded pending a search warrant. Since October, there have been 5 other incidents in Edmonds and Woodway involving individuals claiming affiliation with a Moorish group. Police said one of the people arrested Friday had been present and or was criminally trespassing during the other investigations. So they're like, in a serial manner, going around and trying to claim ownership of other people's houses. Interesting strategy. You'd think homeless people would have thought of that by now if that were a sound strategy. This one is in Seattle, so this is a different group. Oh no, this is still in Edmonds, sorry. It must be like a suburb of Seattle. In Edmonds, Washington, a man had only just moved into his home when a stranger appeared in his driveway. A nice-looking stranger, the man told the police, although oddly dressed. The visitor wore a tall red fez cap. The homeowner stepped outside and asked if he could help him. Yeah, Moorish citizens tend to wear fezzes because they're associated with the actual Morocco. Because I believe, and I looked this up once, the red dye that was traditionally used for fezzes was from Morocco, which is why the fez is often associated with Moroccan stuff. Yes, the visitor said, according to a police report, I'm here to let you know that I am the legal owner of the property, and today is the day. What? The homeowner asked. Today is the day, the visitor repeated. The back and forth went on for some time, with the visitor repeating, today is the day, and insisting the homeowner had no right to be there. Eventually, the stranger handed over some official-looking paperwork and drove off. The weird encounter was one of 4 such incidents to take place in a pair of Seattle suburbs in recent weeks. Someone knocks on the door, claims to be the legal owner of the house, and tells the current occupants to clear out. But these aren't the evictions that have swept the country. These aren't the evictions that have swept the country amid the COVID-19 pandemic. They're hoaxes perpetrated by the Moorish sovereign citizen movement, a conspiratorial group that claims its members are the rightful owners of virtually all property in America. The police have not accused anyone of a crime related to these incidents, but the incident reports implicate a specific Moorish sovereign citizen group and one of its leaders. Sorry, dry throat. Sovereign citizens falsely believe themselves to be emancipated from U.S. citizenship, and therefore immune to most or all laws. Contained within the sprawling alt-legal movement are Moorish sovereign citizens. I haven't heard the term alt-legal. I prefer pseudo-law, but sure. Who believe black people are indigenous Americans and are therefore not bound by the same laws in the rest of the country. That's interesting to me, because that's not even how it works for actual indigenous people. Certainly there are reservations on which tribal law is sort of the law there, but like, if you're an indigenous person and you're in the continental United States and not like on a reservation, then the law of the land applies to you. Anywhere you are on planet Earth, if there is a legal authority in that land, then the laws of that land apply to you because they are going to apply those laws to you. They're a sort of subset of sovereigns, said Christine Sartenchi, an associate professor of criminology and author of a book on sovereign citizens. Ooh, I'll have to check that out. Even this subgroup had different sects, she told the Daily Beast. Some believe they have diplomatic immunity because they're members of these North American fictitious tribes, that they're descended from them. They believe they were the first inhabitants of the Americas, and therefore they own everything. Argonian Bum asks, do they believe that indigenous people are allies or invaders? It's going to depend on the sect. I've seen different answers from different groups. A common one is that they believe that Native Americans are also Moorish. They believe that they're just like different skin tone slightly, but they believe that they're part of the same group, which is why you'll sometimes see Moorish citizens with like pretty insensitive, they'll wear like headdresses and stuff because they've sort of appropriated, some of them, not all. Some of them have also appropriated some of like certain tribes' cultural stuff into their movement because they've sort of commingled in their mind those two groups. Others believe it's like a completely different thing, so it just depends. The Edmonds, Washington homeowner, unnamed in police reports, appears to have landed on the receiving end of that ideology. After his visitors drove off, the man looked at the paperwork he had been handed and saw it was from the Moorish National Republic federal government, a police report reads. The paperwork went on with rambling, somewhat nonsensical statements, claiming to own the man's property. The paperwork contained a map with the man's house marked with a pin. The Moorish National Republic, which did not return a request for comment, bills itself as the true government of the United States and purports to own all the land in North America. Like other sovereign citizens, the group routinely files massive long lawsuits full of faux legal jargon, in this group's case, claiming to seize land by eminent domain and declaring themselves the rightful owners of 666 trillion. When the Edmonds man searched for the group online, he found a picture of his visitor, red fez and all, on a webpage for the group's Supreme Judiciaries. The man called himself Marcel Maddox Bay. Oh no, another Marcel! What is with, like, we have Marcel Bissett here, who is a sovereign citizen, and then this guy's Marcel. His last name is a common appendage that connotes noble heritage in Moorish circles. They could not be reached for comment. While the Edmonds man was researching Maddox Bay, a woman in nearby Woodway received a similar visit approximately an hour later. Like the Edmonds man, the woman had recently moved into the ritzy home and was surprised to see a visitor outside her front gate. She used an intercom system to ask the man what he wanted. According to a police report, she replied that that he was there to repossess the home. I can't imagine being this delusional that you think this is going to work. How did they think this was going to go? Did they think they were going to walk up to this, like, bougie, rich person house? Or it might have just been a McMansion, whatever. And they were going to hit the intercom. Psh, hi, how can I help you? Hi, I'm here to repossess the house. I own this house now because I said so. And did they think they were going to go, oh, okay, let me grab my stuff. I'll be out in an hour. Like, how did they think this was going to go? She told him this was ridiculous and told the male to leave. He said he was from some sort of government organization or something, the report reads. At that time, she accidentally pressed the wrong button on her phone's security gate interface and opened the gate. Oh no! Don't do that. Don't do that. Dr. Gamble with,
capitalism.
I live here. You live here? I live here. Perfect. Perfect meme. Ooh, we're on a hype train. Beautiful. The car proceeded to drive in, but left when the woman came outside and said she was calling the police. The driver briefly returned soon after and paused outside the gate before driving off again. Police told the Daily Beast that a third home had also received a visit, and one of the houses had been visited twice. For attempted home takeovers, the incidents have been remarkably mild, resulting in no criminal charges so far, police noted. They've been cooperative and compliant, and even in some cases respectful to our officers, an officer told Washington's KIRO radio station. But we don't think they're going to go away anytime soon in terms of their attempts to do this. Right now, I think that's probably the right move. Oh, wowzers. Well, I'll get to the bit messages in a minute when we're done with this, but wowzers, Antipodian Squid. Thank you so much for the bits. That's the most bits. Thank you. I think the idea of just arresting these people for this would be pretty extreme. They're certainly foolish and they're wrong, but I don't know. They're mistaken. I don't take them as necessarily scam artists. I don't think they know this is a grift. I think they're genuinely misled because it would make no sense whatsoever for them to do this if it was just a scam. There would be no end game. They really think this stuff. So, at least at this juncture, it makes sense, I think, for the police to kind of get in contact with them and be like, look, I know you believe this, but it is not the case. You cannot take other people's homes. You cannot trespass. And if you continue to do so, we will arrest you. I think a warning is completely warranted in this case, and hopefully they'll learn their lesson, but I'm kinda doubting it. We'll see, though. Marcel Maddox Bay, the man described in a police report as visiting one of the Edmonds homes, has attempted such legal maneuvers during the seizure of his own home by lenders. In a 2016 lawsuit against the mortgage company that foreclosed on him, Maddox Bay unsuccessfully argued that he disowned his debt, and that as a Moorish sovereign citizen, he was immune to taxation. That's interesting, because again, this is basically exactly what Marcel Bisset has done. Marcel Bisset has claimed he's disowned his debt and that he is immune to taxation. I'm still waiting for Marcel to get arrested, by the way. Bisset, because he does all this stuff too. He and the group have not been accused of violence, but as COVID-related conspiracies and desperation spike, other members of the sovereign citizen movement, Moorish and non, have made headlines for arrests. On Sunday, police arrested a Connecticut man who allegedly declared himself a sovereign citizen during a dispute about face masks. More ominously, federal agents busted a self-described sovereign citizen in Boston on weapons charges in late November, allegedly revealing bomb-making materials in his home. The man used the surname L, another common Moorish sovereign citizen styling. So yeah, interesting stuff. Concerning, but, you know, it is what it is. This is something put out, I think, by the police, or it's reporting on something that the police are saying. This is about these incidents. For the second time in 3 weeks, Edmonds police were called to a home in the town of Woodway after suspects belonging to a group known as the Moorish Sovereign Citizen Movement claimed they had rightful ownership of the victim's property. The suspects in question were issued trespass notices and ordered not to return, but Edmonds police are now warning citizens to be alert to anyone making such claims, or to anyone occupying vacant property and claiming ownership. The November 14th incident was a follow-up to two similar situations at two separate Woodway homes that occurred on October 21st, said Edmonds police spokesperson, Sergeant Josh McClure. The town of Wood... Sorry, now I'm just thinking... Hi, I'm Josh McClure. You may know me from criminal indictments such as sovereign citizens breaking into homes. The town of Woodway contracts with the city of Edmonds for police services. The Southern Poverty Law Center identifies the Moorish sovereign citizens as an extremist group, and notes on its website that its members believe their status as members of a sovereign nation imparts immunity from federal, state, and local authorities. They use this perceived immunity to justify refusing to pay taxes, buy auto insurance, register their vehicles, and to defraud banks and other lending institutions, and in some cases they trespass on property and claim that it's their own. We're at 91% of the level 4 hype train with 40 seconds left. This 2013 story, which aired on NPR, highlighted, quote, a growing trend of Moorish sovereign nationals claiming property and exemption from U.S. law. NPR cites a Washington Post story about Lamont Butler, who lived briefly in a mansion in Bethesda, Maryland. The house with 12 bedrooms and 6 kitchens was up for sale. Butler didn't own it. He simply walked in and lived there. But Butler says he wasn't breaking and entering. He claims the mansion was his because he's a Moorish American national, a sovereign citizen, not subject to federal and state laws, NPR reported. The first incidents in Woodway occurred October 22nd when a man approached two residents there and told the homeowners he had legal claim to their property. In one case, police said, the man presented the homeowners with paperwork he claimed gave him rightful ownership. In the other case, he told the homeowners he was being evicted. In both cases, the homeowners told the man he was incorrect and asked him to leave, and then called 911. In both cases, the suspect left at the homeowner's request. Then, on November 14th, the same suspect, accompanied by a second man, returned to one of the Woodway properties he had contacted on the 22nd of October. This time, police who responded to the incident issued a trespass notice to the men, telling them that if they returned, they would be arrested, McClure said. McClure urged citizens to be vigilant regarding these issues and to contact police if they observe anyone who appears to be unlawfully occupying a vacant property. Interesting stuff. I don't have a ton to add to this because I think it's, you know, on the face of it, everyone recognizes how absurd this is and how strange it is that they think that they can just walk into other people's houses and take them. But nonetheless, it's very interesting. I don't know. I'm curious if this will increase or decrease. This specific sect has been doing stuff like this for a while. They file a lot of fraudulent lawsuits.
There's nothing funny about the tools
Interesting
of
stuff.
capitalism.
So, if there's any, again, this was back in October, so I don't know if there'll be any new developments coming out of this, but if there are, I'll let you guys know. Crazy stuff.
There's nothing funny